The morning moved slowly, as if the house itself were reluctant to start the day. I zipped my suitcase with careful precision, noticing the bulge that seemed slightly off. My mother-in-law hovered nearby, her voice soft but insistent. "Did you pack enough socks? And don't forget your charger." I nodded absently, keeping my hands on the suitcase. There was something familiar in the way she shifted her weight, a small, practiced intrusion I had learned to notice over years of family gatherings. I felt it immediately, the extra bag tucked beneath my neatly folded clothes, heavier than it should have been, yet not mine. I said nothing. Instead, I slid the suitcase closed and let her chatter fill the room. There was a faint smile tugging at the corner of my lips, not out of joy, but from a quiet, meticulous awareness. I knew what had been done, and I decided, silently, that I would let it unfold on its own terms. At the airport, the crowd moved in predictable rhythms, families clustered together, travelers tugging their luggage along worn paths, announcements droning overhead. I kept my eyes mostly on the floor, hands casually guiding my bag, observing the subtle gestures around me. My sister-in-law walked a few steps behind, struggling with her own suitcase. It seemed almost poetic, the way the paths of our luggage would intersect if only I nudged them. I nudged them. With quiet precision, I swapped the suspicious bag into my sister-in-law's suitcase during a brief moment when she bent to tie her shoe. She didn't notice. My mother-in-law, standing a few feet away, kept talking about flight schedules and gate numbers, unaware, or pretending to be, that the shift had occurred. There was a strange suspended weight in my chest, neither exhilaration nor guilt, just the careful observation of what was happening. Power, I realized, was less about confrontation and more about timing, restraint, and silent leverage. Security was routine until the alarm sounded over the X-ray machine. The bag flagged. I watched my mother-in-law's hands stiffen, her lips parting, a tremor of recognition, or perhaps fear, passing over her face. The officer lifted the bag onto the counter, and then she screamed, "I'm done!" Her voice cracked and echoed across the terminal, drawing glances from strangers. She sank to the floor in tears, folding into herself as if her authority had evaporated into nothing. The security officer's intervention was clear, immediate. They asked questions, instructed her on procedures, controlled the chaos with a visible, undeniable presence. I stood back, silent, feeling the strange calm of a storm I had watched without touching. The weight of what could have been a confrontation dissolved, leaving only the residue of quiet triumph. Not revenge, not celebration, just the simple clarity of restraint meeting consequence. The flight was uneventful. I watched the clouds outside, thinking of small details, my mother-in-law's habitual overreach, my sister-in-law's oblivion, the precise moment authority shifted the dynamics. I felt the faint echo of something larger than myself, a lesson written in hushed tones rather than loud declarations. Vigilance and patience could yield clarity. And yet there was unease. Family loyalty is not a ledger, and the bond between us was subtly altered, frayed in a way that might never be repaired. I carried the knowledge that I had acted, that I had protected myself, and that I had exposed manipulation without dramatics. But I also carried the quiet shadow of guilt. Perhaps the real victory was not in the swap or the spectacle, but in the maintenance of dignity, in holding one's ground without destruction. Power, I realized, could be quiet, even invisible, and yet undeniable. The plane ascended. Below, the airport continued its rhythm, oblivious to the minor upheaval, and I let myself drift into the low hum of reflection. In the end, no one celebrated, no one avenged. My mother-in-law's tears were a public fracture. My own restraint was private and still. And yet, in that silent space, I understood the subtle reshaping of influence, the small but persistent reclaiming of self in a world that often expects compliance. I did not speak of it. I did not need to. The authority had spoken for me, the consequences had been delivered, and the quiet weight of awareness had shifted, and that was enough.